Hey gamers, Aksu here. I've got another video today about Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and this video won't contain any story spoilers. I just finished my first playthrough of this game, and I'm so impressed. I absolutely love this game. First of all, I'd really just like to thank Sandfall Interactive for working so hard on this game and gifting this to the world. It's really a masterpiece. I really think we need this kind of excellence in storytelling, and then also this brand of developer energy in the gaming industry.
Alright, let's go.
Having now just finished the main story, I mean, I can tell you for me this game is a complete triumph. In storytelling, in music, art, gameplay, emotion, personal engagement, it's hands down a triumph in entertainment. For me, other than like MMOs, I generally play games that have real-time combat that's kind of considered more difficult combat. Things like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Elden Ring. Other times I'll play ARPGs. So thinking back, I think the only turn-based game I've played in a really long time was Darkest Dungeon. But I've actually always avoided turn-based JRPGs, thinking that they kind of involve combat loops that have long repetitive cutscenes and kind of just a general lack of engagement during enemy turns. But wow, I'm glad I gave Expedition 33 a try, despite it being turn-based in combat. This is where Expedition 33 really shines though, because the real-time enhancements to this combat system make it so addictive and rewarding to play. Hey, do me a favor and leave a comment if you were also reluctant to play a game that had turn-based combat. Were you also pleasantly surprised like I was at how engaging this combat system really is? In addition to your comments, this is a good time to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you're interested in watching live gameplay, you can follow me on Twitch, where I do play games and stream every week. Your support really does help me a lot, and I really do appreciate it. Okay, so just as a little background, I've said that I just completed the main story. I'm really excited to delve into some of the remaining quests and adventures before going into NG+, and I really can't wait to try the New Game Plus experience as well. I'm absolutely enjoying this game. In my playthrough so far, as I've said, I've really just done the main storyline, so I purposely took a pretty direct route following only the storyline areas and not investigating any of the extra side areas. I really wanted to experience the game without being overpowered, and so I was afraid that if I spent too much time in other parts of the game that I would accumulate more and more power, and then it would make the game easier, and I wanted to really have a more challenging experience. I thought the damage cap in place for most of the story was really helpful for this, to kind of experience the game without being too overpowered. I also played the game in expert mode, and I only used parries, so no normal dodges. Additionally, I didn't use any of the materials to upgrade my weapons, so my weapon improvements were only as rewards from combat or a better weapon that a merchant would sell. So I think I finished the game doing the final boss with level 16 weapons. So I think at the final fights I probably had something like 60 to 65 total Lumina points from leveling and from color of Lumina on each of my characters, even though I have a lot more color of Lumina, like I have over 100. Another thing that made the game very approachable was the lack of a death penalty. You really just had to reset and go again. I also never completed an encounter in the game with using the reserve team. I just wanted for my main team to succeed, and if they failed, well then they failed. Now for training purposes, on some boss fights I would use the reserve team as a faster way to kind of observe and learn the new mechanics, but I'd always wipe up the team if victory looked like it was within reach and go back to the main team. And when I finally unlocked the painted power Pictos, I didn't equip it until I got to the point where I felt I needed it on the creation fight, and then through the remaining fights. And then in that case, I only had the Pictos equipped on one character, so I didn't have that Lumina on all of my characters. Just one character had the damage cap removed for some of those final fights. And even at that, with the damage cap removed, the maximum I hit for was 140,000, so I think that's a reasonable amount, much higher than the damage cap, but still much lower than what's possible. And personally, I would highly recommend new players do something similar. Don't focus on being overpowered or making the game easier. At least for me, I really enjoyed the challenge of learning the encounter mechanics and trying to master them. So I guess I kind of would have felt robbed of the experience if I was just going into all of the fights and just one-shotting all of the enemies. That is where the damage cap really did help, and so I was excited to see that. So I think it really gives people that experience of having to fight through the mechanics. I know for some people, maybe once they have painted power, they're just blasting through enemies. and even maybe some of the final bosses. It really just wasn't the experience I wanted to have in the game, so I tried to minimize my power. I wanted to see more of the mechanics and feel like I was mastering the mechanics as much as possible, and there are a few things in the game that kind of can rob that feeling from you. I really found the combat to be fantastic, and for me this was really about the parry mechanic. I really enjoyed the different cadence and the mechanics around the parrying. The developers did such a good job with visual and audio cues that it really became something you could learn, and I thought that was really exciting. Otherwise, those QuickTime events that happen during your own skill actions, they're engaging, but I think they felt less consequential overall, maybe with a few exceptions. One reason for this was probably the damage cap, just further enhancing your damage when you're already hitting cap. That just became kind of moot. Some of the things that I thought were really interesting were like the QuickTime events where you could super fail, like in Lune's Hell move where you could damage yourself, or the damage fizzles out like on Strike Storm where you could miss and then get no damage. I thought they were frustrating at times, but actually really awesome to have in the mix. And I think more variety in those QuickTime events could even help make that system feel more consequential. And that leaves me really excited to now remove the damage cap and see what some of those encounters on the main map look like with some challenging bosses, and then going into some of those dangerous map areas where if you kept the damage cap in place, it just might be unrealistic to have these super long fights with a million parries. So I'm also really looking forward to NG Plus and then going through and seeing how the game even ramps up difficulty a little bit more. And even with this great combat, I mean, I think the real acclaim deserves to be the story and the presentation. For me, just watching the story unfold was absolutely just wow. I mean, you got me, and I'm so glad you did. I don't think I've ever been so hooked into the experience of watching every last bit of dialogue and background as I have been in Expedition 33. I think in many games, I just can't hit that skip button fast enough. And a big part of that is that Sandfall Interactive just made the dialogue so meaningful and so beautiful and so worth listening to.
If you're gonna give someone flowers, you should probably do it before they wither and die.
This beautiful story just ties everything together, and it really transports you into this canvas, into this game that Sandfall made. So, I'll make other videos with more specific observations, but I mostly wanted to take this time to just thank the developers and thank the team for making this game. So, first of all, gamers, do I recommend this game? Absolutely yes. I think you can hear that. Absolutely yes. This game is definitely worth your time. And then Sandfall Interactive, keep painting. Keep painting. This is such a beautiful game. I can't wait to see what you guys do next. And you guys are masters of the brush. Just keep painting.